Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
You can put it on the board! Yes!
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, of course, the king of all, those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner, 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Everybody also watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, and independent cable affiliates from coast to coast in select markets. Thanks for joining us. Also on Hotel TV where applicable, and on Chicago Food Favorites. Check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Folks, if you don't know what that is, go to Facebook, check out Chicago Food Favorites. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, your favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites, a fun group on Facebook. All right, and our friends over at Vacation Buddies are giving away a special gift, a New Year's gift just for you. How about a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri? If you can answer a simple trivia question, Vacation Buddies wants to give you a couple of nights in either Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri. If you know the answer to the simple trivia question, and here it is. Which of these three is the tallest structure in Las Vegas? Is it A, the Stratosphere Tower at the Strat, B, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino, or C, the Fontainebleau Hotel and Casino? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to that very simple trivia question. If so, call 888-576-5777. Call now. And like I said, a big Happy New Year to everybody tuning in. And if you've been paying attention to the college football playoff, I'll tell you what, these quarterfinal, those games were very exciting. Well, actually, 3 out of 4 were exciting. And even the one that wasn't too terribly exciting, that ended up in a shutout at 23-0 in favor of Oregon, which is a big shocker to me because Texas Tech had the defense coming in. And I actually had a $10 ticket. That's right. I put $10 on it. I thought Texas Tech was the best team in the tournament. Well, I think maybe their offense forgot to show up because the defense sure showed up. And if you look at the stats between them in the Orange Bowl, New Year's Day game, big high-profile game. Look at the total yards. I mean, it was just a defensive struggle on both sides. Oregon only mustered up 309 total yards, which they're usually about 200 yards more than that per game. Meanwhile, Texas Tech they could only put up 215 yards, of which their passing yards were 137 of those, but they still rushed for 78 yards. In comparison, Oregon only rushed for 64 yards. Oregon had a superiority of 108 yards in passing, but let's face it, folks, we're talking, 108, that's 27 yards per quarter? That's just one pass play. This is a pretty evenly fought game despite the outcome. Penalty yards, and it was 36-25 in favor of Texas Tech. That's nothing to be happy about. First downs, it was a 3-2 ratio, 15-10. Third downs, It was Texas Tech, 6, Oregon 4. Fourth downs, they converted fourth down 4 times for Oregon and no times for Texas Tech. So if you're looking for the difference between these two squads in the game, never mind the score at 23-0, this was a hell of a lot closer than what it really looks like. And if you look at the scoring, I mean, what do we have? We had a 50-yard field goal by Oregon in the first quarter. That's it. In the second quarter, we had a 39-yard field goal. That's it. All right, so now you had 6-0, essentially, at the end of the first half. That's right. So it was a very hard-fought game. Third quarter, Oregon mustered up a touchdown on a 6-yard touchdown run by Jordan Davidson. All right, extra point, good. 13-0 right there. And then in the fourth quarter, it was a touchdown and it was a field goal. That's it. Actually, the field goal came first. The touchdown was more garbage time. So you could say that Texas Tech didn't show up in the game. I think defensively they did. But let's face it, Dante Moore did not have a good game. Dante Moore, 236 yards, 1 interception. But you want to talk about the rest of the team not really showing up either? Look, neither team's offense showed up. This was a defensive struggle, no matter how you cut it up. And if you look at Oregon football, this is from GoDucks.com. I have no problem with Oregon. I really don't give a damn. But I really thought that Texas Tech was the better squad going in. But according to GoDucks.com, they say Bryce and Dylan had 2 tackles each to lead the defensive effort, and Braden Finney Jr. had 2 interceptions plus a fumble recovery, right? And that earned the freshman corner defensive MVP honors, while the offensive MVP was, well, there was really nobody else, so Dante Moore took it. 26 for 33, 234, but an interception, and yeah, no touchdowns. Anyway, Oregon led 6-0 at half, like I said, after the 2 field goals by Sappington. But a pair of rushing touchdowns by Jordan Davidson in the second half really provided the only cushion that the Ducks not only needed, but let's face it, they were stymied for the most part. So Texas Tech, their defense played well enough to win the game. It just happened that Oregon's defense showed up. As a matter of fact, Dante Moore had said, quote, "Getting the win is the biggest thing, especially in moments like this. Of course, everybody loves the deep throw. Everybody likes long runs. But like Coach Lanning says, it's about keep chipping away. Next play mentality." Close quote. I think that's a good attitude. Anyway, Davidson's first touchdown made it 13-0, as I mentioned. Second one, of course, was the one that made it 23. But, of course, one of the players said from Oregon, Ukulele, had said, quote, "Hats off to the Texas Tech defense. We knew they were going to be good coming in, and we needed to help." That's right, we needed help. And whoever it was, whether it was me or Tatum or the backers or safeties, it means everything to help my team be in that position, close quote. So the score remained 13-0 entering the fourth quarter. That was a real tight game, folks. Sappington made his third field goal to make it 16-0, as I mentioned, and Davidson's second touchdown, of course, made it 23. And I guess you could say they wore down the Texas Tech defense, but they really didn't. I mean, the defense played well. As a matter of fact, Oregon offensive guard Emmanuel Pranon said, quote, "That's what I live and die for. That's my bread and butter. That's why I wake up blessed and excited every morning, because I know I get to step on the field and take another man's will away." In fact, he continues on with, in the first half, it was not us trusting ourselves and shooting ourselves in the foot. It was honestly just mishaps on our part in the first half. Once we started believing and trusting each other, that's when things started to piece together. Now, I don't know about that. Look, that was by Emmanuel, their offensive guard. I'm not really sure about that. I mean, look, anybody could say those words. Now, if you watched the game, you said, you know, this was a very, very hard-fought game in the first place. And as you look at the game, you say, all right, it's a shutout, and it doesn't matter now because now Oregon is going to take on Indiana again. And Indiana punched them in the face, stole their lunch money at Eugene back on October 11th. That's right, October 11th. And so, of course, it stings. But when you lose on your home field, and you're a pretty high-ranked squad, if I'm not mistaken, Oregon was ranked number 5 at that time, and you lose, and listen, that score did not even dictate how big Indiana really won the game by. Now, I watched that game, and that was, man, that was just a good old-fashioned ass-kicking. In fact, I was watching that game over at Salerno's on the Fox. That's Salerno's restaurant on the Fox River over in St. Charles, Illinois. And I was watching that game with the great Emory Moorhead, 1985 Chicago Bears Super Bowl champion, Emory Moorhead. That's right. And it was during my brother-in-law's 60th birthday party. And I got to tell you, Emory and I both shared the same sentiment about that and saying, wow, Indiana is just stealing their lunch money. I mean, it wasn't even close, man. And so as you watch the game, you say, okay, now are we going to see more of that again next week? I got a feeling we're going to see a hell of a lot more of that. And Indiana is just kicking ass and taking names, and that's the end of that. In fact, we're going to cover them in the next segment. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus. Back in a few.
Stop it!
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
Stop it!
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out, folks. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents, including our friends waking up with us over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM, 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. Right down the road over in Auburn, Alabama, WAUD, that's home of the Atlanta Braves. Thanks for joining us there from Montgomery, Alabama, all the way to Columbus, Georgia, all points in between in that market, as well as those up and down the Midwest, out to the West Coast, driving on Interstate 15. Between sunny Southern California and fabulous Las Vegas, listening in on Highway Country Radio 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM. That's home of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Raiders, and the Sports Circus at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Also, welcome into our friends in Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the 49ers, Yankees, and Alabama Crimson Tide, who just got their hats handed to them. That's right, by Indiana. We're going to talk about that in just a second here. And also welcome into everybody that is watching in select markets on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, and independent cable affiliates, Hotel TV where applicable. And, of course, everybody on social media and streaming platforms, too. By the way, in case you're just tuning in, if you missed an announcement at the top of the show, first of all, Happy New Year to everybody. And Vacation Buddies is giving away a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to a simple trivia question. And if you do, call the number that I give after I tell you what the question is, and then you could pick up a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri. Here's the question. Which of these three is the tallest structure in Las Vegas? Is it A, the Stratosphere Tower at the Strat, B, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino, or C, the Fontainebleau Hotel and Casino? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri. If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777. Call now. All right, so I mentioned our friends over in Alabama, and of course at War Eagle, I'm sure War Eagle Nation is very, very happy about the absolute pounding that Indiana laid on Alabama. And if you missed it, folks, it was a good one. Oh boy, happy day for everybody except Alabama Crimson Tide Nation. And so, people questioned this one. They said, well, Indiana, they got lucky against Ohio State. We haven't even gotten to them yet. Did they get lucky? I don't think so. Is Indiana that good? Remember, I mentioned in the last segment, October 11, Indiana rolls into Big Bad Eugene, Oregon to face the Big Bad Ducks. And the Ducks, remember, folks, they're a very good squad. Look, I don't have any personal issues with Oregon. I like Oregon. It just happens that I don't like their football team or their athletic teams because now they're in the Big Ten. I'm a Big Ten guy. Of course, my team is in the toilet right now, the Purdue Boilermakers. However, they're not in basketball, but in football, they're awful. So the good news is that, well, I get to cheer on some of the other squads. And it's not a typical occasion when somebody that has a degree from Purdue University roots for the sworn enemy, which is IU. However, for those that don't know, Indiana University and Purdue University are both on the Indiana school system. And they're both state of Indiana schools. It's just one shares a private name, but it is a state-driven university. Both very, very good schools. So I'm not going to put IU down for that whatsoever. No, these are two very good schools. So the only thing that I have in common is same school system. So I said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to root for the enemy. Yes, I am, just because I can. And I'm going to say that Indiana, I've been rooting for them. In fact, even last year I was rooting for them. I have to tell you, they have been exactly what I thought they were. And you go back to that game from, I think it was 2000, 2006, 2007, whatever the hell it was, when the Chicago Bears, they played against, I think it was the Arizona Cardinals. And Arizona blew, I think, a 24-point lead in the fourth quarter. I think that's what it was. I'm going to go back to Dennis Green. I love this. I'm going to find this one just because I can. Okay, so we'll go Dennis Green, rant, Chicago Bears. All right, I want to say this was 2006 or 7. 2006, there it was, October 16th, 2006. And this is what he said. Let's see, hopefully a commercial doesn't come out here in front, but let's try this one, folks. Remember, this is live. Anything could happen.
The Bears are what we thought they were. We played them in preseason. Who the hell takes a third game in the preseason like it's bull? We played them in the third game. Everybody played three quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were.
I love that. Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. But in a good way. So he didn't like the fact, of course, the Bears the Bears took it to him. And Indiana is who I thought they were last year. I mean, I thought they were that good. And unfortunately, they played a road game to open up that college football playoff, which is wrong because Notre Dame should not ever get a home game in the playoff because they don't play in a conference. The football team doesn't play in a conference. Therefore, they have one less game to play than everybody else. And Indiana was shafted in that game. Whatever. So this year, because Notre Dame couldn't beat Miami to open the season, well, guess what? Miami had the head-to-head tiebreaker over them, and Miami deserved to go to the CFP, which they've done very, very well. We're going to get to them. However, this is about Indiana. So Indiana was good enough last year. They're good enough this year. And their coach, Curt Cignetti, everybody calls him Cignetti. Now, the Italian way to say it is Cignetti. So Curt Cignetti quiets the critics after Indiana demolishes Alabama in the Rose Bowl with a verbal jab. This is according to the Sporting News. I love this. Boy, I can't get enough of this stuff. And so the Sporting News says it was a great day for Indiana Hoosiers as they clinched their spot in the college football playoff semifinals with a 38-3 Rose Bowl destruction over the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's right. And there was still skepticism that the Hoosiers hadn't arrived despite an undefeated regular season, a Big Ten title win over Ohio State, and a Heisman Trophy winner quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. Oh, that's right. And all were debunked in a matter of a few hours, which Cignetti echoed to the four-letter network after the win. In fact, he had said, when asked by Holly Rowe, quote, "Why should the moment be too big? Because our name's Indiana? We've got a lot of veteran starters that played a lot of successful football games in their career, and they have high character. We've got great leadership and character on this football team." We've come through in clutch moments. I'm proud of the way they responded and prepared and met this challenge. It's a great win, close quote. Now, Alabama had won this past week against Oklahoma in a comeback effort during the opening round. But a 3-touchdown day from Mendoza plus losing quarterback Ty Simpson was too much to overcome for Alabama. Listen, this game was over before Simpson even walked off the field. Ultimately, Cignetti seemed to be in full support of his Hoosier football hysteria, teasing a Hollywood script that college football fans would likely eat up. Quote, "It'd be a hell of a movie," close quote. Cignetti said that after the win. And he's probably right. The Hoosiers win sees them rematch with the Oregon Ducks at the Peach Bowl next Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the opportunity to play for a national title. That's right. And of course, the story continues and is arguably getting better with each game. That's right. This is fun stuff, folks. If you don't like this, if you don't like the story of what's going on at Indiana University, then you don't like sports. I'm telling you, it's one of those. And you really have to embrace it. You got to understand what it represents. And folks, let me tell you something. Again, I am not a fan of Indiana University. I'm part of the same school system. I went to part of the same school system, whatever. That's it. That's where it ends. But it was nice to see Alabama just get their asses kicked. And I mean, they got kicked so bad that it would have made Pac-Man die. That's right. And that was a great thing, I think, for college football. I think it's a great thing for sports when you see the team, even though they were favored by over a touchdown. But nobody could believe that Indiana was that good. And it was the same thing. Nobody believed that they were good enough to beat Ohio State. Well, guess what? We saw that movie, and then we just saw on the biggest stage for IU's football history that they demolished Big Bad Alabama in prime time for the world to see. And what could be better than that? Back in a few minutes of the circus. Don't go anywhere.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number:
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer, plus a whole bunch of others. Also, check out the partners page. Lots of great partners at thesportscircus.com. One of our favorites from the music side is the music of legendary rock band Blue Oyster Cult. Now, of course, you heard at the top of the show, Buck Dharma doing the introduction for the Sports Circus. Well, Buck is the lead guitarist and, well, one of the lead singers for Blue Oyster Cult. He and Eric Bloom, of course. They've been doing it for decades, multi-platinum. They are good, and they're good live. They don't fix it in the mix, no backing tracks, no auto-tune, none of that garbage. They do it right. Check out blueoystercult.com, and there's a link right there on the Sports Circus Partners page. Just click on the Blue Oyster Cult name and logo. It'll take you right to their tour dates and their merch and whatnot. Pick it up, folks. They're good stuff. They're living legends, friends of the circus. Got to tell you, folks, I'm a big fan. You should be, too. All right, welcome back to everybody on radio and TV. You know who you are. All right, and we left off in the last segment talking a little bit about the good old-fashioned ass-whooping that Indiana laid on Alabama. Got to tell you, couldn't happen to a better bunch of guys, in my opinion. But then again, there's a lot of people that feel the same way about Alabama. And yes, we happen to be on one of their stations. Sorry, Bama Nation. It is what it is. We're also broadcasting in Auburn, Alabama, too, for our friends over in War Eagle country. And I know that they absolutely love the ass-whooping that Indiana gave to Alabama, if you know what I mean. All right. But now, there are some takeaways from Indiana's Rose Bowl demolition of Alabama in that quarterfinal game from the college football playoff. And this was from Fox Sports. They say, still undefeated, clearly number one, and keeping a magical season alive, the Indiana Hoosiers are moving on to the college football playoff semifinals after wrecking number 9 Alabama 38-3 in the Rose Bowl quarterfinal. Fast, physical, and relentless is the motto of Kurt Signetti and his Hoosiers. That was overwhelmingly evident in the first quarter game under the 12-team CFP format, where the team with the first round bye actually won. That's right, they actually won. They did the unthinkable because everyone's thinking, Bama's going to beat them. No, they're not. Sorry. You must have been drinking some of that funny stuff or maybe worse. Anyway, a slow start to the highly anticipated matchup led to an offensive explosion from the Hoosiers, who had a 17-0 halftime lead and they never came close to giving up. Indiana quarterback Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza put up a stunning performance after not playing since the Big Ten title game way back 4 weeks ago. And the Crimson Tide ran out of steam early in a game where they were already outmatched. As a matter of fact, Indiana center Pat Coogan, named Rose Bowl Offensive MVP, he had said, quote, "We're just a bunch of fighters and we just scratch and crawl for everything. We've earned the right to be here," close quote. And you know what? I'm going to give him a round of applause because I believe the exact same thing. Now, Fox goes on to say the clear underdog, Alabama, fell to another disadvantage when quarterback Ty Simpson exited the game midway through the third quarter with an injury, leaving backup Austin Mack to lead a second straight 17-point comeback attempt. But Indiana was unstoppable and is off to the Peach Bowl semifinals down in Atlanta. Now, look, by the time Ty Simpson got into the game was already over. Period. And we already saw what Ty Simpson could not do, and he could not be effective against Indiana's defense. Man, that was a swarming defense. In fact, they look like the Baltimore Ravens defense, which is very different than the 85 Chicago Bears defense, which was the best that the NFL has ever seen. But the Baltimore Ravens defense in the early 2000s was awfully good. And what you didn't see were one standout. You just saw the whole team converge. It seemed like the whole team was making a tackle every time. Whereas the Bears 85 defense, they had guys, individuals that would come in and bull rush and literally take two guys out at a time. And that's what it sure looked like when the Bears won the Super Bowl convincingly. And hell, they put out their Super Bowl Shuffle video a month even before the Super Bowl. And they were just that good. Actually, it was 2 months before the Super Bowl. They knew they were going to win it. But now this Indiana defense really resembled the great defense from the Baltimore Ravens. And I got to tell you, there was just no budge in them. Now look at the last two games they played. Let's think about this for a second. They demolished Alabama 38-3. And they didn't even get a sniff of the end zone, being Alabama. Ohio State lost 13-10 in a tough battle. But you got to realize, those guys, which I'll get to them in a minute, Ohio State doesn't play well from behind. They don't, and we saw it again. The point is, that's Indiana's last two games, and they won 2 road games in big venues. Oh, and by the way, if you go back to that game against Oregon on October 11th, yes, it was at Oregon. Some of their biggest wins have come on the road. And probably the best comeback win for the year was at Happy Valley against Penn State with the last-second touchdown. So these guys can win in hostile environments. They can win on the road. They can win in neutral fields. They can win just about anywhere. And they're really that good. Again, it sort of pains me because I'm a Big Ten guy as well, but from a different school. But talent is talent, and you can't discount them. Those guys, let's go back to what Fox was talking about. Fox said, okay, well, here's 4 takeaways from the win. And their first one is Mendoza is unquestionably that guy. And they say, with the way he's played all season, Mendoza was crowned the Heisman Trophy winner for a reason. But there will always be doubters who are almost certainly silenced after watching him tear Alabama's secondary apart. It had been 26 days since Mendoza last took the field, so maybe he simply wanted to remind everybody why he's college football's most outstanding player while carrying his team to the CFP semis. And he looked a little stiff, maybe a little nervous at first, right? Alabama got a couple of sacks in the first set of downs. That's right. They got him twice and basically in 3 downs. However, despite the strong pass rush, Mendoza still found a way to connect with his receivers and take the ball downfield himself. He was 14 for 16 for 192 and 3 touchdowns. Talk about efficient. That's insane. Without an interception, Mendoza reminded fans that he has the knack for extending plays, especially with his legs, and might be the best on-field improviser in the FBS today. And what was funny is I listened to the announcers. One of the announcers said he looked like a baby giraffe running, but he finds a way to get it done. Yeah, and you know what? That is true. So continue on with what Fox said, is he led an Indiana team that racked up 407 total yards, no turnovers, and finished with twice as many first downs as Alabama. That, my friends, is an ass-kicking. Perhaps his most stunning touchdown was the first of the game, a 21-yard touchdown pass to wide receiver Charlie Becker. After the snap, Mendoza had a fairly clean pocket to work with. Still, the pass looked like it'd be a little bit tall over Becker's head, but guess what? Until the receiver extended big time to give Indiana a lead, it would never come close to relinquishing. And that, mind you, that's just the first point. And here is a blurb. Here you'll have an audio clip, a quick one here, courtesy of College Football Playoffs on X.
They're showing pressure. Here it comes. Mendoza has time. Blows end zone. Caught! Touchdown, Becker!
That was an incredible catch. It was a great throw and a great catch. Now, Becker had said to the media after the game, every position, quote, every position we have is elite, with our O-line being able to protect Fernando, and obviously Fernando winning the Heisman, being able to get the ball out and get it to playmaker receivers like Omar Cooper, E.J. Williams, Elijah Surratt. We just have weapons all around, so it's hard for teams to focus on just one aspect when they have to focus on everything. Close quote. I would agree with that. In fact, Becker led the Hoosiers with 51 yards and a touchdown off just 2 catches. That's right. Everybody seemed to got a play here. And that was the first touchdown, was also Indiana's first Rose Bowl touchdown ever. And the Hoosiers' only other Rose Bowl appearance was in 1968 when they lost 14-3 to the University of Southern California Trojans. That's right. Back here with more on these 4 takeaways, according to Fox, in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes, are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, and independent cable affiliates in select markets. Thanks for joining us. Also on Hotel TV, where applicable, and Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Check that out, folks. A fun group on Facebook. Chicago Food Favorites. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, your favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right. By the way, there was a really cool vacation giveaway at the top of the show. If you want to go back, if you missed any part of this, go back to the pre-recorded, or better yet, the recorded shows. This is certainly pre-recorded for some markets. Go back to the recorded shows page, which you can find on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, YouTube, and Stitcher, and Deezer, and all those. Anyway, pick one of those, and I always, if I just go for a quick listen or whatnot to check on things, I always go to Spotify. That's always a real dependable one. Anyway, just go there and listen to the beginning of the show, and you'll hear the question for Vacation Buddies. By the way, make sure you check that out. Pick up a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, or Branson, Missouri, and that's on them if you can answer that simple trivia question. Okay, so back to the Fox Sports. 4 takeaways from Indiana's good old-fashioned ass-whooping of Alabama. So the first one was, they said, Fox had said specifically, Mendoza is unquestionably that guy. And by the way, he's really good with the media. Second one was Indiana's championship level defense cannot be underestimated. That's right. It is championship level. And they say the combination of a strong pass rush, forcing turnovers, limiting drives, and a big fourth down stop in the second quarter is what the Hoosiers defense is all about. And it's the kind of squad that clearly it's capable of winning it all. Indiana kept Alabama sequestered to their half of the field. That's right. For much of the game and stifled their progress at nearly every turn. What's more, Indiana handed Alabama its first 30-point loss in a bowl in 28 years. And its largest bowl game loss of all time, according to Fox Research. All right. That's great. Anyway, Indiana's defensive coordinator, Brian Haynes, his group was persistent, limiting Alabama to just 93 total yards in the first half and only 193 overall. Alabama's first and only score of the game didn't come until the 2:44 mark late in the third, and it was just a field goal. That's it. As a matter of fact, Indiana defensive back Lewis Moore said at Media Day, quote, "The front seven is really underrated, especially the D-line. I don't know their stats, but from my perspective back there, it looks like they're pushing the quarterback every play on the pass rush and even the run defense," close quote. One of Alabama's more efficient moments came late in the second quarter, as was in large part because of 2 completions from Simpson for a grand total of 8 yards to tight end Josh Cuevas. That's right. And then one for 13, by the way, to wide receiver Ryan Williams. But on 3rd and 7 from Alabama's own 49, Simpson saw an opening, rushed for 9 yards, and what would have been a first down, but he coughed the ball up and he blew it. That was only a turnover, but the only turnover by either team. And Indiana capitalized, of course, on that by scoring a touchdown on its next possession. So, yeah, they are that team. Indiana's swarm. They really are. And like I said, they're kind of similar to that Baltimore Ravens style of defense play back in the early 2000s, that Super Bowl winning team. Look, they hit hard. They swarmed. They did everything they were supposed to do. And you thought the moment might be too big for them? Oh, hell no. They're just getting started. And so the third takeaway was you can't expect to erase a 17-0 deficit twice in the same game, especially in the college football playoff. Can't do it. It's just not what they did. And look, Alabama did it against Oklahoma, but they certainly couldn't do it against Indiana. And then there's all the rhetoric from that. And then the fourth takeaway, according to Fox, was Alabama needs an efficient run game to compete in a 12-team CFP. Now, that's kind of interesting. They say Alabama's ground game has fallen a long way since the days of Mark Ingram and Derrick Henry, or even recently with Najee Harris and Jahmyr Gibbs. Of course, Alabama is in a different era these days, but a non-existent run game limited them all season, and their 109.9 rushing yards per game this season ranked them 120th in FBS play and was the lowest average in a season since 1955. And again, that's per Fox's research, Fox Sports research. Yeah, it was certainly needed a two-dimensional offense to take down the number one team in the country. Of Alabama's 193 total yards in the game, just 23 were on the ground. That's it. They were turned into a one-dimensional team. And then when Indiana knocked out Simpson, knocked out the quarterback, hey, it is what it is, folks. Now the backup comes in to mop up, and they're already down by 3 scores. So it's not like Alabama was going to come back anyway. No, they were outmatched in every aspect of the game. It's real simple. And according to Fox Sports research, Alabama finished the season being held to fewer than 300 total yards in 4 straight games and fewer than 30 rushing yards in 3 straight games. And of course, what's next for Indiana? Well, guess what? As I mentioned, the top-ranked Hoosiers dominated and advanced to the CFP semis, and they're going to be playing in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta on January 9, and they'll face that similar familiar opponent in number 5 Oregon with a trip to the January 19th national title game on the line. And of course, Indiana and the Ducks met, as I mentioned, in Eugene back in October on the 11th, and Indiana stomped them. Never mind the score of 30-20. It was, again, a good old-fashioned ass kicking. Okay. So, why are we talking so much about Indiana? Because number one, they're a great story. And again, it sort of pains me to do it, but I'm happy for them because it's a great story. For the same reason, for everybody that knows me and you know anything about me, you know I'm not a fan of Notre Dame. However, every time the movie Rudy is on television, when I know it's on, I watch it. And the reason I watch it is because it's a great story. It's a story about a kid from suburban Chicago. Grew up on the south side of Chicago, the far southeast side right next to the Indiana border area. And so he went to Joliet Catholic High School, a good school in Chicagoland. It's one of those good schools like you see in California or Florida, like IMG Academy nowadays. Back then, Joliet Catholic was it. Well, nowadays, you've got like the Modern Days in California, the Gormans here in Vegas, the IMG Academy down in Florida, whatever. Joliet Catholic was it too. But there was a kid that he did play on the Joliet Catholic football team, but he was too small. And one of the quotes, I loved it. And it was, "You're 5'0" 100 and not a speck of athletic ability." But this guy did it. And he finally went through the story, whatever. He got into the university. He played a couple of snaps and he got himself in the record books, not the record books, the official records. He didn't set a record or anything like that, but he is on record of being a part of the football team. But my point is, it's a great story. And Indiana is a great story. That's why I'm talking about it. But you know who else is a great story? Ole Miss is a great story. Look, Ole Miss is a great story. By the way, for everybody that likes Ohio State. Yeah, how did that work out against Miami? That's right. It was Miami. That's right. Miami that played ahead of Ohio State almost the entire game. And guess what happened? Ohio State lost again. You know why? Because they can't seem to play from behind. Think about that, folks. When that team falls behind, they don't know how to face adversity. Indiana does. Obviously, Miami does as well. Miami was in the playoff for the right reason. Notre Dame was not in there because Miami beat them head-to-head. But Ole Miss, how about Ole Miss knocking off Georgia in the Sugar Bowl? What a wild game that was. And I have to tell you, even the very end of it, when you thought it was done and over, there was some crazy play at the end of it where there was, 15, 20 laterals, whatever the hell. Georgia was doing anything they could to try to keep a play alive. It was the final kickoff with 6 seconds left. Well, somehow they even added 1 second onto the clock for Georgia to get some other kind of a crazy opportunity for a play, whatever. And it was for a free kick from a safety and all this other garbage. But even the refs couldn't fix that one. And it's exciting to see Ole Miss without their coach who went and mutinied Ole Miss to go to LSU. That's right. And guess what? It didn't really matter because Ole Miss was good enough to beat Georgia. When they played before, they took a 9-point lead into the first game they played in the regular season. They ended up losing that game, and they ended up taking a 9-point lead into this game, or I think it was a 9-point, or no, they were down by 9 or something, whatever the hell. They were down by 9 points, and they came back and won this game 39-34 in a wild one. And if you didn't see it, folks, boy, did you miss out. The Sugar Bowl was very, very, very exciting. It's what we could have hoped for. And honestly, it was just one of those ones where you just scratch your head like, did that really happen? Yeah, that happened. And Ole Miss is moving on to play in the Fiesta Bowl against Miami, who beat Notre Dame. Now, Cinderella is alive and well in this big dance of a tournament, which is Indiana, even though they are clearly the number one team in the nation. But boy, would it be fun to see Ole Miss and Indiana play in the national title game. I mean, that's a real possibility. Oregon already knows that Indiana beat them. And guess what? Ole Miss is clearly a better squad than Miami. And I don't even know what the odds are, but I'm going to guess that Miami is going to probably be about a 2 or 3 point favorite, whereas I would imagine Indiana will probably be about a 4 point favorite, 3.5 to 4 points. I don't even know what the line is, but I'm going to look at it in a little bit. In fact, I want to see right now if it's even out. I don't know. Let's go Fiesta Bowl odds. Fiesta Bowl odds 2026. Let's see if there's an early line out. There it is, 3 points. Miami as of a 3 point favorite against Ole Miss. All right, so I was right there on that one, and let's go to the Peach Bowl. The Peach Bowl odds, the current odds or the opening odds, 3.5 to 4.5. There it is. All right, so I was right there with the point spreads. Anyway, folks, that's going to be two very, very entertaining games to determine the national title players, the teams, and the actual national title. That's going to do it for the circus today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. Hopefully you had a great time today with me, and you have a happy new year. And so long. We'll see you in 23 hours right here on your favorite station. So long, everyone.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.